A technology follow-up video. I intend to do one of these every 5 or so videos. I'm looking forward to it. The last time I did one of these was for the Dark Souls 2 video. Speaking of which, at the time I'm making this, those videos have found their way back into the algorithm. So, if this is your first time seeing one of my newer videos, welcome. I've since shifted my focus to making videos about weird or obscure tech hardware. This video is going to act as something of an update and response to those videos, and if you haven't seen them, I will have linked a playlist in the description with all of them so far. New subscribers may be disappointed to hear this, but frankly, I enjoy making these videos far more than the old Souls videos. Also, making videos isn't my job, which is good, because if it was, my performance review probably wouldn't be going very well. Still, the benefit is that I get to treat making videos as a hobby as opposed to a job, and do what I enjoy instead of what will make the most financial sense. That said, I definitely am operating this channel at a loss. That's okay, as I said, it's a hobby, and most people will sink some money into their hobby. Still, it would be nice if these videos at least covered their own cost, which as of right now, they largely do not. I give myself around an $80 budget per video. Sometimes it's a bit more, rarely has it been any less. That's all out of pocket, and if you'd like to help with that, you can do so by simply sharing my videos around. I don't operate a Patreon or anything like that at this time, nor would I like to be beholden to someone who's given me money in that way. So the best way to help me is to promote my videos on Reddit, Discord servers, or even to friends. Alright, that's about it for this introductory section. Let's get on to the actual videos. First up, the Ouya video. This was my first video of this type, and honestly I think it shows. Were I to do this video now, I'd probably be a lot less thorough in showing the whole setup process for connecting to the community server and the update process. Not that I think I wouldn't show them entirely, just that I think I'd do a much better job at presenting this sort of thing more succinctly. It also turned out that there was a script to automate a lot of the process that was made by Xerax, which also would have saved some time and energy had I known about that. Thanks to BirdM for telling me about that. I also showed almost none of the Ouya's actual game library, excluding the Tetris clone game Blockinger and Illusion Asylum, instead focusing mostly on how to run emulators. So, far from a perfect video, but it was my first outing and I was finding my footing here. This also won't be the last time you see the Ouya on this channel. I do have more plans for it. I did, however, have a relatively early shoutout for Ross Scott's push for Stop Killing Games, which has recently exploded in popularity, attaining nearly 1 million more signatures on their European Citizens Initiative in just the last month. Clearly that was all my doing, so Ross, since I'm sure you're going to see this, just go ahead and say I was single-handedly responsible for all that success. Just call me a founding member of the initiative. Gaming on the HP T740 thin client. This video I'm a lot more positive about, and I think it's easy to see why. Most of these videos have failed to break the 1000 view mark, but that's not the case with the thin client. Granted, that could also be because I currently have it as the video you see when you open my channel page, but still, I think this is a much more solid video than the Ouya. It also tends to be the first video I recommend to people when I tell them about my current projects. I think it's an all-around good video, and I cemented the style moving forward. There's some minor issues, mostly related to audio balancing. Some parts I accidentally did an EQ pass on twice, resulting in the commentary peaking and being a bit too loud. Next up, Half-Life 2. Yeah, still perfect. Whoops. I have since made it a practice to keep both an unfiltered and filtered version of each individual recording so this doesn't happen again, which I probably should have started doing a long time ago. If you've seen the Minecraft video, you'll know that I teased that there was an even worse interaction with someone than what I showed in that video, also involving the thin client. I originally wrote up a fairly extensive section going over that, but I've been advised by multiple people that I shouldn't cover it. Suffice to say for now, I was stalked and harassed by a genuinely unwell person for several months after posting this video. It went on for some time, and they even used multiple accounts to continue harassing me on multiple platforms. Luckily, things seem to have finally died down with this person, and I can now talk to people online mostly without worry. It was definitely stressful for some time, but I'm glad it's behind me. Of course, there's a chance that even bringing this up is just going to start it all over again. I obviously hope that isn't the case, but this sort of thing is something you run the risk of when making things. Opening yourself up to people also means risking exposing yourself to bad actors. Let's move on. The Datalux Tracer! I was a little bit worried about the anti-cop jokes that I made in this video, mostly because I thanked both Lil Jon 118th and Save It for Parts directly in the video and did not contact either of them to see if they were okay with that considering the video's content. Luckily, they were both very gracious in the comments. I didn't even have any interaction with Save It for Parts prior to this video whatsoever. He just found it of his own accord. What a guy. Anyway, I don't have a lot to say about this video overall. There's some minor visual related issues, such as the brightness and contrast being a little funky, which actually also happened during one section of the Demon Souls video. It's an issue with my editing program, but it doesn't seem to be consistent and you can't see it in the preview. This issue only appears after exporting. Right now I use Kdenlive, but maybe I should switch to DaVinci Resolve. I do prefer to use open source and free software as much as possible, but Kdenlive has been generally very unstable and given me a lot of headaches. I've also switched from using GIMP to Affinity Photo, so I'm definitely flexible on my morals if I get better results from a paid program. At least they're not subscription-based products. Yet. I will also mention that I ended up with 3 of them at the end because the first one that I had didn't actually work and I tried crimping a power cable to it. The screen would sort of light up, but it was totally blank. It may have been because of that one cable I highlighted that can be ripped off the board if you aren't careful and can only be reattached by resoldering it. I'm not sure. Since these were fairly cheap, I tried to just buy another one on eBay. The only one I could find at the time was a lot of 2, hence I ended up with 3 of them. Still, this project got me started with soldering, which is a skill that I've since used in the microphones video. That's a nice thing about these projects, I'm learning new stuff with them all the time. I did actually use this thing at work for a while. We were technically shut down for some time, but I was still required to be on site. In that time, I was able to beat Super Mario 64 120 Star and Ocarina of Time. Also, I was rewatching all of Dragon Ball, so I was able to get through the latter half of Dragon Ball Z and all of Dragon Ball GT. The aspect resolution was pretty much perfect for older games and shows like that. Honestly, it was a pretty good time to be at work, all things considered. Those were some easy paychecks. Otherwise, I don't have much to say about this. I guess I could mention that this was technically going to be the first project I did on this channel before deciding to do the Ouya and Thin Client videos first instead. I also don't have much to say about its replacement, the HIT-W183. I watched all of Dragon Ball Super on it. I did also play some of the Tomb Raider remaster, but work got busy again, so I haven't got as much use out of it as I'd like. I did, however, end up getting the L-shaped SATA cable that I mentioned in the medical PC video. Unfortunately, it still didn't fit under the protective cover around the motherboard. But some invasive thoughts later, and yeah, fits great now. Finally, I'd like to give a big shout out to the several people who have assisted me in making the videos so far. In a lot of ways, I wouldn't be able to do what I do without assistance from some extremely kind people willing to lend their hand. First up, Blizik, whose music can be heard in all of the videos so far. I've been using his music for a long time actually, including on an older channel. His music is fantastic and complements my videos very well. I don't have much of an ear for music, so him being willing to allow me to use his stuff for essentially nothing in return is a huge help. I always link his music in the descriptions and show them in the bottom left corner on the screen whenever a new song starts. Definitely check out his stuff. Next, I'd like to thank Avery, Gale, and Foxi, all of whom are regular help when I have tech-related questions. I'm sure I'll continue to rely on them when I have questions or need assistance in the future. Also, for Avery in particular, she was the person who initially gave me the courage to take the plunge into switching from Windows to Linux a couple of years ago, which has since become a core aspect of the videos on this channel. She has also been kind enough to allow me to use her music. If you saw the short I released about replacing my graphics card fan, you will have heard some of it already. And hey, maybe in this video. I don't know yet because I haven't finished making it. Finally, Shivers the cat, who has always been helpful whenever I need a voice. She can be heard during the opening skit for the microphones video, in my old Chantalise video, as well as the opening skit for the Dark Souls 2 follow-up video. She has been one of my best friends for years, and anytime I work with her, I'm blown away by how natural she is whenever I need her to read for something. She's also a fantastic artist, and I'll link her Blue Sky page below. Definitely check her out. It would mean a lot to me and obviously to her. Alright, that's pretty much everything. I consider these 5 videos to be the first volume of this series that I've somewhat informally dubbed Techknowledgy. Maybe I'll come up with a better idea than that later. Like I said, I intend to make a follow-up video every 5 or so videos. They'll also hopefully start coming out more often. I aim to have at least one video every 1 to 2 months. Still, as I said, this is just a hobby, not a job. Sometimes priorities have to be focused elsewhere. Still, I hope you enjoy. Here's to another volume of Techknowledgy. Hopefully with less stalkers. See ya!